Hello, kia ora, back for part 2. So I was just talking about the resource 2, which was the crayons book, and then resource 3 was around whānau and speaking to them, because a lot of the time when we're working with children with autism, they may not be able to get across their own emotions and feelings as they would with their parents or caregivers. So yeah, and just some of the key questions. Like, what are the main challenges for them at home? How do they calm the child down at home? What are some of the triggers at home? And yeah, what's the best way that you find you communicate with your child? Because who's going to know them better than their parents? And then just the references. And then these are just the posts that I made. And so I then shared this with some colleagues and got some feedback on it. And then reflected on that feedback at the bottom. And then storytelling current, I really enjoyed this one. Here is my positioning of why I chose the story I chose, which is called My Shadow is Pink by Scott Stewart. And it came about because this man had a son who loved to wear dresses, and it was just his journey to accepting his son, and it's just really, really lovely. And so then he eventually wrote a children's book about it, and then wrote filmed a short animated film about it, which is really cool. So yeah, that's just my positioning, some referencing on why I chose that. And then my PowerPoint for storytelling. These were some of the stories I found that I added to the Mahi one. And then in the end I chose this particular one. It's a really cute video. I recommend watching. And then, developing the resource around it. So I developed questions to watch whilst watching the video. So I've time-stamped parts of the video, and then you can ask questions. And then I created activities around it that you could do in a class. Fill in the blanks with prompts, shadow collage, etc. And then optional extra, there's a YouTube clip of them reading the book, and there's another page with lots and lots of other activities to complete as well. I chose this particular topic for storytelling because it's been quite a big hot topic in Tauranga at the moment, like LGBTQIA+, and I just thought and there's not a lot of resources out there on it yet, so I just thought it would be good to create one. And I know, I just really like the little short film as well. So that's just me posting to the Mahi, and then taking it further, I shared this with my cluster, and this was a piece of feedback I got from one of my colleagues around this, and she gave me some further resources to look at. So that was really good. And then my current 3 I chose was interprofessional practice. As I said, I really liked doing the currents. They really gelled well with me. And I kind of felt like I was making things and improving my practice through them. So I just really enjoyed doing them. So for this one, I added to the directory different professionals. I tried to find different ones and ones that maybe other people hadn't thought of. So this is a tech application, psychiatry, and this is a private child psychiatrist Gumboot Up, which is a charity that is across New Zealand and provides 2 free counselling sessions to anyone under the age of 25, and you don't have to be referred by a doctor. Anyone can go, and they can just be self-referred, which is really cool. And then 24/7 Youth, which is a charity that works in schools from year 7 upwards in conjunction with a local church. So they provide 1 or 2 youth workers to support a school, and it's however the school would like them to be provided. I think the school has to pay for 1/3 of it, and it's funded, the other 2/3 is funded through the charity and through whichever church they're in conjunction with. And then I Am Hope is a charity promoting mental health in schools. that a few of our friends have been involved in as well. So yeah. Then for my Mahi 2, I decided to do an interprofessional interview. And this was with Marlene Dyer, who I actually used to work with, and she is at Katikati Primary School. And her role was kind of developed around her. So she is going to become the Senko next year, but she's been almost a learning support coordinator, but not quite. So it was an interesting chat around her role and how it was curated for her. And she does a lot of things in her role. So that was really good. These were some of the key questions I asked her, as well as a few others. And for my Mahi 2, this is my reflection on that, and this here is the actual interview I did, uploaded there. And then for Mahi 3, I did a second interview, and this was with a lady called Janet Ness, and she is the Senko at Bethlehem College Primary School. And so she is a full-time Senko, and also has the high school Senko that she gets to work alongside, and they have counsellors on site at their school, so she's in quite a unique position as well. And so that was really interesting to interview her. And she also discussed her old role where she was a principal Senko teacher in a very small school, and how she feels like she can make such a bigger difference to children with learning and behaviour needs when her role is dedicated to being a Senko, and how she feels like it's so important that we need more Senkos that are full-time and fully paid. So that was really interesting as well. And so this is her interview here, and a little reflection I did on it. And then I decided to just add some resources to go along with them as well. So in Tauranga we have 3D, or CHIRP it's now called, which is kind of a triage service for children that need to be admitted to, or not admitted, but seen by psychiatry or CAMS or PEDS, or if a Senko or a teacher or an RTLB isn't sure where to refer, you put all the information on a form and it gets triaged by this group of professionals, and they decide where to send off the forms. And so there's not a website for it, it's just kind of almost word of mouth, but everyone kind of knows about it, all the Senkos, all the RTLB. But I actually emailed one of the 3D coordinators, and they have created a pamphlet for parents, and so I've been circulating that around, because a lot of I know my liaison Senkos didn't have it or know about it, so I've shared that with them. And then this is the link to the actual CHIRP form as well. And then I also just linked and chatted a little bit about Seasons for Growth, because Janet mentioned it in hers. And it can be run in schools over 8 weeks, and I actually would like to do the training for this myself. I've seen it run in my old school, and it was really, really good for the children. And it's just I suppose almost like a counselling program, but a program around grief and death, and it talks about seasons of life. And so I just linked the website for that there as well. And then these were my entries on there, and my little reflection. And so that's my portfolio. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for the opportunity and the learning that I've had this year. Thank you very much.